I can't even tell you how many times I've tried to film this video today. Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever be happy with this, and to be honest I can't be bothered to keep trying, so I'm just gonna film this video, put it up and be done with it and not overthink it too much. Today is the 30th of November. I've been away from pretty much everything for a while now. I don't even know when the last time I filmed was. I think it was my Ibiza vlog, which if you'll have watched it you'll know it ended quite abruptly, and ever since then basically life has just been like a massive washing machine. It's the only way I can describe it. It's literally just crazy. Like, I can't quite believe the amount of time that's gone by, but I don't know if I'm ready for this video, but I've decided, you know what, I just need to pull it out here and just get it done. I'm just basically, I guess, going to fill you in on what's been going on and where I've been. I guess that's the only way I can really do it. I'm not putting this video out for attention. I'm not doing this for a cry of help. I'm simply doing this because I feel like I should, and I feel like if I don't, I never will get this video up or done, and I can't imagine I'll even get back into YouTube or carry on my blog posts, which, as you all know, like, this whole thing to me is just so close to my heart. Nothing makes me happier than making videos and making blog posts and knowing people are reading them and just seeing the response I get every time. And for me personally, I feel guilty because I feel like I've let you guys down on the fact that I've been so absent. Anyway, if you want to find out where I've been, what's been going on in life, I guess it's a life update really, then keep on watching and we'll get into it. So, as you guys will know, I went to Ibiza with Cal, my boyfriend, and we went for, in total, I think it was about 4 days. It was supposed to be 7, but we came home early because we had a call that Mum had taken pretty ill and they needed us to be at home to help. I did do a video all about my mum's story and basically went from beginning to then on what's been going on, so I guess I'll just link that up there and you can watch that, because I'm not going to go through all of that from start to finish because this video will probably be long enough anyway without that. Obviously, because I've been on holiday, I only had little details. I didn't know the ins and outs, I didn't know how serious anything was, I didn't really know why I was coming home, and if I'm totally honest, when I got that call, my first initial thought was, oh, they're overreacting, I shouldn't be coming home for my holiday. And I admit that's selfish of me, I know, and I'm very ashamed to say that because obviously I shouldn't have even been thinking about my holiday, it should have been about my mum. But because with Mum there's been so many times when we've thought things are serious and they're not, if that makes sense. So, you know, doctors will tell us, oh, mum's cancer has got really serious, she only has blah blah amount of time to live, or you really need to start preparing for the end, and it never ever seemed to happen, and they were always wrong. So in my head, I guess I'd just been so used to them being wrong that I presumed, well, it's not going to happen again now, is it? It's going to be false, it's not, you know, I guess I convinced myself basically in my head that it wasn't as serious as they had made out, and I was coming home from my holiday and it was all going to be okay and absolutely fine. I underestimated that honestly so badly. And so when I got home, this was like October time, I don't even know times or dates or anything, to be honest. Everything's just mashed into one at the moment, so I'm not even going to try and say dates or whatever. But I got home, our flight got in at about 12 o'clock at night, I think, and my sister Carla picked me up from the train station. We came home, and as soon as I walked into the living room, my mum was basically sort of sleeping on the sofa. Carla had like a little bed downstairs that she had been sleeping on, and my initial thought was, fuck, this is bad. And I can't even describe it to you, but just seeing that when you weren't expecting that was a bit like, what the fuck has happened, sort of thing. I'm sorry to swear. So we had to give her medication. She could no longer get upstairs, and that's why she was sleeping on the sofa. We needed to aid her to and from the toilet. All of the little things that you'd expect someone to be able to do perfectly fine, she couldn't do. So she couldn't do any of that, and she pretty much needed 24-hour care from all of us around the clock. So I had this cycle where someone would sleep downstairs at night. Of course, you can't really sleep. And someone would wake up at whatever time in the morning for her first lot of tablets. Then that person downstairs would go back upstairs to have their sleep. And the person downstairs would make sure mum's okay, get her out of bed and whatever whenever she wants to get out. And you know, it was basically just a cycle like that each and every day. Not gonna lie, it was not good. It was not nice, and it's something I wouldn't wish upon anyone. However, I personally found after maybe 2 or 3 days, I somehow managed to disconnect with the fact that it was my mum and this was serious. And in my head, the only way I could get through it was to tell myself, I am a carer, this is my job, this is what I have to do. And I couldn't let myself think about what I was doing and the fact it is my mum. And that may sound pretty heartless to you. I don't know how that sounds, but I thought to myself, this is what I need to do. I need to care for her and I need to give her the best care possible. I can't get emotional. I can't even think about it for a second. I can't think forward. I can't think back. I'm here. I'm going to do this, more or less. And so all between that time, because mum was we knew mum wanted to go into Alpha Rank. We had Alpha Rank people visiting us, I can't remember their medical terms or whatever, telling us, you know, things we didn't really want to hear and assessing mum, whatnot. And in the end, I think after about 2 or 3 weeks maybe of her being at home, and suddenly it did get a lot worse and she could no longer really leave bed at all. And so she was in bed pretty much all the time and we had to do everything for her. She wasn't eating a thing. Her medication was making her sick. And just all the little things in between, really. It all just basically deteriorated. So the next time after that, I think it was a couple of days or so, the Alpha Rank people, I don't know what they're called, I can't remember for the life of me, came to see us and to see what was going on. Now at this time, that night I'd been the person that was sleeping downstairs, and so I got no sleep. In the morning I was woken by my sister Carla, told to come upstairs and have a sleep. What I didn't realise was the people from Alpha Rank were coming at 9 o'clock in the morning. So when they came, I was upstairs asleep. This woman had basically told my sister and my older sister who was there that they don't think mum has long. They don't know if they're going to get her a bed in time to be able to go into Alpha Rank. Prepare yourself to the worst and she may have to die here. That was... I don't know. That hurt. I now have this thing where I do not believe them. I do not believe the professionals when they're dealing with mum because they've got it wrong so many times. But we all knew that we had to prepare ourselves that it may be at home. Obviously mum was distraught at the thought of that because all she wanted was to go into Alpha Rank and not be here and not us family having to deal with it. So they told us they would rush around, try and get her a bed or whatnot, but the chances were very, very slim. The next day, or the day after, we received a call saying that they've got a bed in Alpha Rank and that mum could have it. But in order for mum to have this bed, she needed to obviously get there. At this point, mum was literally bedbound. They said they would get an ambulance to take mum, and that all we had to do was wait for the ambulance and they'd come and transport mum and we'd follow it behind in our cars or whatever. So that was all okay. We were all like, okay, this is going to be the last night that Mum's going to be here. This day was fucking emotional. It was fucking horrible. But yeah, this day was awful, and we had that call pretty early on in the morning, so we decided we needed to tell people that Mum's now going to go into Arthur rank, and we needed to let the people that would want to visit Mum at home, to let them be able to come. So all day we were obviously waiting for this call, but also preparing for the thought of Mum going into Arthur rank, and to be honest, this day is just... Anyway, it got to about 9 o'clock in the evening, and we had been waiting for this ambulance to come for 9 hours. 9 hours for this ambulance to come, when we were first given 4 hours of waiting time, which is what we were told. They would be here within the 4 hours, and so we were prepared to wait for the 4 hours and knew obviously there's going to be many more jobs and whatever, and they're going to be busy. We have to expect the 4 hour wait. And every so often we would get a call from them and say, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to have to push you back another hour. Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to have to push you back an hour. And in our minds we were just thinking, it's 9 o'clock in the evening. How is Mum going to get to Arthur rank if they're not coming? I think the last phone call we got was probably around 10 o'clock at night to say they were super busy, and all they could advise was that they'll come the next day in the morning, and it'll be a 4 hour wait and it would all start again basically. We've waited all day for a transport, as in an ambulance, to come just to be able to get Mum from A to B and be able to get her comfortable. Now then, when you're told that you've been waiting that whole day, that actually you're going to have to do the whole cycle again the next day, was to stop them doing exactly the same thing the next day and just deciding, oh, we're not a priority enough. This could happen any time, any minute now, and it'll be here at home. That thought threw us all, and we had to make quick decisions there and then. No compromise, no nothing. So in the end, we decided we needed to actually stand in here and do something to get Mum to Arthur rank. This is when we decided we were going to try our hardest to get Mum into my older sister's car, lay the seat back so that she can be as comfortable as possible, and drive her ourselves. Now obviously at this point Mum is bedbound. She can barely even lift her legs up herself in order to walk to the car, because our kitchen is like at the back of the house, and she had to walk all the way through the house, and we don't have a driveway. So in the end we had to park on our neighbour's front garden. The problem was we have 2 big steps to get down and a little wall that she would have to climb over. So obviously this was a massive struggle, and I just remember the second she got in that car, how proud we all felt that she'd been able to get from her bed that she hadn't been able to do to the car, so that we could ourselves jump in and take her to Arthur rank. And we knew at this point that it's fine, we go into Arthur rank now. After all of that, we got to Arthur rank, and the relief was instant. Honestly, the relief was just, it hit you as soon as we pulled up to that building. It was like, we're here, we've made it, it's gonna be okay. They came out of a wheelchair or whatever, took us through to her room, but at this point it was 11 o'clock or 11:30 o'clock in the evening. Mum had already had her nighttime pills that make her drowsy and sleepy, and she had to fill out questionnaires. She had to, you know, we had to go through all the medication, everything like this, in order for them to be able to take over the care and us to stop. But getting Mum just from the wheelchair back into a bed was difficult, because at this point we, as the family, had been caring for Mum for around 3 weeks, I think. I don't know how long, and we had got used to being the ones to help her in bed, to lift her legs up, you know, all that sort of thing. We had got used to doing that, and therefore we wanted to, you know, we wanted to carry on doing that. But actually these nurses were the ones that were now taking over and needed to do it, and we had to step back and, you know, trust them to do the job as well as we could, which for me was challenging. I don't know about the others, but for me it was a bit like I wanted to jump in and I wanted to help them. I wanted to be the one to put mum's pillows there. I wanted to, you know, I still could not get out of that caring role. For me it felt so wrong to let them do it and me do nothing. And my dad decided there and then that he was going to stay with mum in Arthur Rank. In Arthur Rank it was strange because the staff there, honestly, were amazing and incredible. The way they treated us and the way they cared for mum and just the way they were in general was just so heartwarming. It made you feel safe, it made you feel secure, it made you feel like they knew exactly what they were doing and this is the best place for her. And I think maybe 2 or 3 days after that, it hit me that now I can go back to being mum's daughter and I don't have to be her carer. I don't have to worry about overdosing her. I don't have to worry about her being sick. I don't have to worry about that, and all I have to do is be here for my mum. Honestly, that just lifted a whole weight off my shoulders. In Arthur Rank it was, I can be her daughter, I can give her all of the love and affection she needs, I can be here every single day and I am family. Arthur Rank was slow, not the staff, not anything like that, but mum in Arthur Rank was slow. I mean, obviously I had no idea what to expect. I don't really know what happens. I'd never been told. I'd never read up on what happens if someone's dying from cancer. I was in the dark. I didn't know. And so for a lot of the time, well, every day and pretty much every evening, we would go there and we would just sit beside mum, and a lot of the days she was so dozy and so tired that she would just be sleeping. But despite her sleeping, we would sit there beside her anyway. Anytime she needed water or anything like that, we would get it for her. We'd do the small things that we could do. And honestly, we would just sit beside her bed for days upon days upon days. Me and Carla decided we wanted to sleep over with mum in Arthur Rank. We wanted to be the ones to stay the night with her. We wanted to watch films, have popcorn, have a real girly night with each other, and we did that. And that night was fucking perfect. Honestly, it was perfect. Even when mum was dozing throughout the film and probably missing it all, it was so nice to be able to just be there and not have to leave, because honestly, leaving for some reason just filled me with this horrible anxiety. Obviously I suffer from anxiety anyway, but I can't explain it. I just, every time I left I had this horrible feeling. Didn't care. We just cared that we were there to be able to have a sleepover and do one nice thing for mum. We made sure we took pictures that evening. Hopefully you can see that, but that was our sleepover. That was our photo, and it breaks my heart, but that is the last photo we ever got with mum. Dad was at the hospice and he had stayed the night. Basically mum rapidly deteriorated. She got in so much pain, unbearable pain, and all I knew was it was bad. We fell asleep. I think Cow had gone to work or something like that, I can't remember. And I was just asleep, fine, you know, no problem, no, I actually wasn't feeling very anxious, I was okay, I was in a deep sleep. However, at 9 o'clock that day, so at 9 o'clock when I woke up and my phone was ringing, I didn't think of anything of it. And then I thought, hang on a minute, why has she phoned so many times? And I'd also had, I don't know, messages or something from my boyfriend and Carla, and I was like, something is wrong. I shot up out of bed, and I can't remember who even phoned me to say that I needed to get out of the hospice, but one of them phoned and said, the nurses have said that they think it's going to be today and you need to come up as quickly as you possibly can. It was sheer panic, to be honest. It was sheer panic. Me and Callum arrived in the car park, and I knew none of the other cars were there for Jodie, Nikki and that lot to be there, so my initial thought was, shit, I don't want to walk in that room first. I don't know why, I don't know what came over me, but I straight away just froze and was like, I don't want to get out this car until I know someone else is here to come in with me. I needed the support from my siblings, I guess. So there we were in the car park waiting, just this horrible feeling, not knowing what was going on, feeling guilty that I couldn't go in on my own. But so anyway, I waited for my older sister Jodie to come. She came and she convinced me that I needed to go in the room now and I would go in with her. I will never forget that moment when I knew it could be today and I was walking in that room with no idea what to expect again. I walked in and you could just tell Mum was just, she looked awful. In all honesty, she looked awful. And it was horrible to see, and I just remember running to her bedside, giving her a hug and just telling her I love her. And at some point then, Carla, Nikki and her Carla's boyfriend Jack came, and it must have been about, I don't know, 9 o'clock maybe. So we were all there and we all sat round the bed, whatever, and more or less just waited, not knowing what was going to go on, completely in the dark. And it was me and my sister Carla on this side, I think, and it was Jodie, her husband Lloyd, Nikki and Dad at the end of the bed, and mine and Carla's boyfriends I think were over this side of the room, but I can't remember exactly. I was sat at the point where Mum was laying her hand was. So I was holding her hand. Jodie and Nikki were both holding her hand or arm or something like that. And Carla was just stroking her hair or whatever. And then Mum that day could hardly talk. There wasn't really any conversation at all, really. It was us more or less talking to her, just trying to ensure she was comfortable and knew we were all there. Now in Mum's Arthur Rank room, she had double doors that opened and were glass and looked out onto like a patio sort of thing with a bird table and a bird bath and, you know, a little table for us to sit at. And the whole time Mum had been in there, nearly every day we were visited by a robin and squirrels and any other wildlife, and I'm a true believer in the whole robin thing. And every time Mum, when she was well enough to see the robin, she knew it was Auntie Carol who passed away on New Year's Eve last year, I don't know how you count it, and she would say, Auntie Carol has come to say hello. And so when we were all sat around this bed and we knew, I don't know how, but we knew it was going to be today. When a robin turned up outside, it was like a sign to say, get ready, it's going to be soon. We'd all told Mum we loved her, and she'd built up the strength to say, I love you all too. Oh, didn't say it, it didn't come out of her mouth, but she mouthed it and we knew. At this point, she had somehow squeezed my hand a little bit harder, and at 11:51 she stopped breathing and she passed away. Now the problem is, because she had squeezed my hand quite hard, I could feel the pressure and the pressure never seemed to go. And I had to more or less try and take my hand out of hers in order to move. I'm not going to tell you about what happened because that just wouldn't be right, but I've never seen anything like it before, and to this day it kind of haunts me a bit, if I'm honest. It haunts me, to be completely honest. But she passed peacefully, with us all there holding her hands, and she had mouthed "I love you" to all of us. And I can't even tell you the emotions that went around that room. The physical pain is something I will never ever be able to explain, but it was like my heart had just sunk. Oh, I said I wouldn't cry. The pain was just something I'll never be able to explain. The next day we had agreed we would go and see Mum, because the image we all had in our head was not nice and not something that I wanted to remember her last as. So we went and saw her the next day, and I'd done this with my auntie, but not the next day. It was a few days or however weeks or however long after, and I hated it, honestly. I don't mean that horribly, but I really couldn't do that with my auntie. I froze in the room and just couldn't bear it. I could not do it. But with Mum, the image I was left with was so horrific that I needed to be able to see Mum looking like Mum. When we came back the next day, they'd made her bed beautiful in this other room, and they'd put one of my roses that I'd bought her, which was red with like red glitter on it, I don't know how to explain it, in her hand, and they'd done her hair, and she just looked beautiful. But it didn't feel right. It did not feel right. I expected her to just sit up and just laugh, just, I don't know, just anything. I expected her to just, I wasn't ready for her not to move. So anyway, that's the end of that bit, I guess. And then on Monday, the 27th, this week, Monday, I think it's 27th, we had Mum's funeral. 3 weeks after, I think it is, 3 weeks after she passed, we had the funeral. And this funeral, we had already known that Mum wanted to go to Barton Woodland Burial Ground, something like that, I can't remember what it's called, because she had told us that that's where she wanted to go. And 4 years prior to when we found out Mum's cancer was terminal, they took me and Carla, as obviously a lot younger than we are now, just to see it. So we knew it was a kind of woodland. It's the place that's looked at more as like a garden, and it's peaceful, and it's not like a graveyard. It's not that kind of place. And so for those 3 weeks in between, we were obviously just planning the funeral down to a T, getting everything we needed specific and just spot on, and making sure it was perfect. We chose the woman who did the funeral as a lady my mum knew. My mum had known her for 4 years from walking her dog, something like that, from walking her dog. And we didn't want the funeral to be like a generic funeral. We wanted it to be personal, and we wanted it to be just about Mum, just Mum and us family and whoever else coming along. On that day, we had got there an hour early, to decorate the place and to make it feel better. We had a little table where we put photos on and drawings that were in our rank. We put her favourite fairy lights on there. We put candles in front of her flowers. I'll see if I can find a picture. And honestly, we just made it just as personal as we possibly could. Table. What we didn't realise was, as soon as we'd finished doing that and putting candles around the place, I decided I needed to go outside and have a cigarette before people arrived for the funeral. I needed to be ready. The moment we opened those middle doors and I walked out, the room was filled with people. The outdoors where the car park was filled with people. Honestly, we think there was about 150, maybe even more, people there to support us and there for Mum. There were people that she'd childminded, there were friends, just anyone that knew Mum and felt that they wanted to come came. And honestly, it was perfect. It was perfect. The minute Helen started to talk and go through her piece or whatever, there was a robin and a squirrel outside the window. Not everyone would have seen, but me and the family at the front obviously saw and were all pointing at it and all knew that was a sign. I can't tell you why or what or how, but there was a robin in the tree and a squirrel down below it. It was there. It was a sign she was there. She was proud and she was watching us. During the ceremony, we had all done tributes that we wanted to read out. Mine was very personal, as you'll know that in my writing I like to be like that. I share anything and everything I feel. And I had told myself the one and only thing I needed to do was to get up and read that tribute. I didn't want it coming from anyone else because it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it would be the same. So somehow, I don't really know how, but I stood up and I read my piece, and that was the hardest thing I will ever do. But honestly, I'm so grateful that I did, because it was my final thing for Mum, to be able to read it beside her and for everyone around. I didn't even dare look up. I didn't even know where anyone was. I don't know what anyone did. I did not look up once. I just looked at my paper, pretended no one was there, and it was just me and Mum, and just read. When I finished and I walked back to my chair, all I could hear was everyone crying with me. And at that moment I knew that I had done the right thing, and I will remember that forever. And we decided that because she was having a burial, they give you like a cart that you put her on or whatever, and we as the family wheeled her up. And the moment the doors opened for us to go and up to the woodland burial, which is about a 6-minute walk, the heavens opened. I can't even tell you how much it rained and how cold that rain was, and we all knew it was Mum. We all knew she was just doing it and just laughing at us. Just laughing. Even the big umbrellas that they give you were going inside out, everything. Everyone was freezing cold. And it rained the whole time when we put her in the ground and when we read the pieces or whatever. And I'll never forget the second everyone started to walk back, it just stopped. The rain just stopped. And that's how we knew. Mum was having a joke on us, and that was her last joke on us all. So it's now Thursday, the funeral was on Monday, and it's been 3 weeks since Mum passed, I think. And it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real. Even sat here saying all of this, it doesn't feel like my life. It's like my whole self right now is in a bubble that is just floating and just not believing any of this, to be totally honest. And I've been up, I've been down, I've been sad. Honestly, I felt all of the emotions, and last night was one of the hardest. I don't know why or how, but I had these visions when I was trying to sleep. I could not get them out of my head, and it resulted until me staying awake until 8 in the morning, just crying all night long on my own, just crying just with these visions over and over again. And I told myself I needed to film this, and I've been feeling guilty about not filming it, and I don't even know how I've done this or why or what I'm expecting from this, but I know that I needed to do this, because then I know that hopefully when I'm ready, I don't know when or whatever, I can get back to it. I can get back to doing me properly. I can get back to writing my blogs. But at the moment, to be totally honest, I feel more comfortable with a video, because with the videos, my mum, although she watched them, she didn't have a count, she couldn't write a comment, anything like that. I just knew she watched them. Whereas with my blog, mum was always the first to read them, and she was always the first to comment on every single blog post, even if it was just some kisses. For me, knowing that the next blog post I put out, and there isn't going to be that from mum, I can't bring myself to do that at the moment. I can't bring myself to just be expecting a comment from mum, because I don't believe any of this, and it not coming, and then I don't know, I cannot. I've written in my notebook, this right now is filled with everything that I want to share, and it's in here, it's written, but I can't bring myself to type it. I can't bring myself to publish it. I can't bring myself to do any of that yet. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to publish this video, let alone edit this and get it out there. But this feels safer than knowing that I wouldn't be expecting a comment from mum on here anyway, because she never used to. Whereas on my blog, I can't bring myself to realise that she's never going to comment again. She's never going to read them again. And even though we've known this has been coming for 11 years, nothing will ever have prepared me for this at all. It sounds so crazy, because you would assume that you would just be ready. I assumed I was ready. I assumed, oh, it'll be okay, I'll be able to deal with it. I know what it's like to be waiting for it, so I'll be able to deal with it when it happens. But all the time I just have always had this hope that the doctors had always been so wrong so many times, that I just somehow convinced myself she was going to live forever, and it was all going to be a lie, and this would never happen. And I guess that was stupid of me, and it's happened now, and I can't explain the pain. I can't explain the way I feel properly. But I needed to put this video out here so that you know it's done, and eventually, hopefully, when I feel ready, I will get a blog post out. I don't even know what my last blog post was. I think it was again about Ibiza, I don't even know. But I'm trying my hardest on my Instagram. If you follow me, it's _Amy, all lowercase. I'm trying my hardest on there to be myself. To be honest, it's just probably a depressive mess right now. But at least if I'm posting on there, then I know that I don't feel so guilty about my blog. Honestly, I'm I don't even know how to end this. I don't even know what to say to end this. I guess I should just say, please just bear with me. Please just understand that I'm struggling right now, I guess. I've now got to also have the added pressure of trying to find a job because I was mum's registered carer, and even that scares the hell out of me because I've been mum's registered carer for a year. I'm just gonna stop this here. I'm sorry I've cried or whatever. Until I'll see you soon, hopefully.